you everyone. Good evening and good morning. Welcome to the fourth session of Beyond Status Quo. Today's session is an extremely interesting one, and we've got a very sort of a celebrity. We are extremely proud to have her with us today, and I'm going to talk more about her profile shortly. But I just wanted to share with you over the last three sessions we have had in last couple of weeks. We have covered different aspects of the industry, trade, and society. We also talked about the role of industry bodies, chambers of commerce, trade bodies who have all come together in this current time and sort of work together to define the new framework going forward when the world comes out of COVID. We also talked about various sectors. We had a look at education, skills, and training, which is a huge sector and which has basically been transformed now because everything is now going digital. We had a look at real estate and infrastructure with Anna because that's in many ways the indicator of how the economic drivers are, sort of a leading indicator of the economics. So we looked at those sectors as well. And in going forward sessions, we're going to also look at certain specific industry bodies and see how they are being completely transformed and how, as professionals, we need to completely change and challenge the status quo to sort of come out stronger and better in the current crisis. So in today's session, we're going to talk about a more diverse sort of topic. So it's not going to be very specific to a certain sector or industry, because sometimes it's also very important to look at the civil society, to look at the philanthropic organizations, non-profits who are all coming together, the care sector, because these are also extremely pertinent components of a society. And in times like these, we always lean on to such organizations and such individuals who basically spearhead the change in the society, and they bring together everybody onto a common platform while the economics and finances, all the industry bodies are doing their work, but they in many ways channelize and spearhead on the ground level how the overall society moves forward and bring in the positive vibes in the and the general goodwill and the happiness in the society, which is also very important in current times. So to talk about some of these topics, we are extremely privileged to have today with us Thaissa dos Santos, who many of you also know. She is the current title holder of Miss Latina International Brazil. She, as part of the title holder, she is empowering youth and women all over the world to achieve their highest potential. She is doing so by promoting self-care, nutrition, well-being, and also providing, advisory and consulting, and leading the development of more youth co-ops, across the world. As a qualification, she is a graduate of nursing, specialized in nutrient-dense foods. So she's got a very interesting, background and knowledge of nursing and care. She is very passionate to support cultural diversity. She has launched infusion catering and bar services as a platform, to sort of merge global concepts for cuisines, cocktails, and fashion into larger events, so to say. She also, tries to lead the way to show others, to help them discover a new level of connection, which sort of begins by implementing these concepts in a more collaborative way. And she collaborates with a lot of charities and philanthropic organizations, who have similar vision and values as her. And I think in many ways she represents many times, people associate beauty pageants with fashion, modeling, and the traditional, the glam, right? But many times, we don't get to hear the story behind the scenes. That that's just one part of the world which we all see, but the other part, which is much more meaningful, fruitful part, which people like Thaisa are doing on the ground. I know she runs various initiatives around also suicide prevention, working with youth community, helping them, sort of promoting self-care and nutrition, building upon her experiences and community support. So I think in many ways you're going to see a different side of, a beauty pageant holder, that, what kind of work they actually do post the title. And she's an amazing personality. I've been personally always been in awe of admiration of what she's doing. And over the last few months, I've got to know more about the work she's doing. I'm completely inspired by the great work she's coming up. So with this, I'm not going to take much time. Thank you so much for taking out time, Thaisa. I must tell everybody that she had a surgery day before, and I know anybody else would have very quietly shied away and said that we have to postpone the session now, and it would have been just fair if she would have asked to postpone. But that's the level of commitment she has, and it's so inspiring that she said no, I'm gonna go with the commitment and what we have planned. So I am personally, it's an honor and privilege, Taisa, that you stuck to that time and honored it. I really appreciate it and express my gratitude to you. A very warm welcome to you in the session today. And I'm going to also introduce Sushma, whom we all know as the co-host, and she's going to welcome Thaisa as well and initiate the conversation.
Thank you, Karthik. Warm welcome on Beyond Status Quo, Thaisa. As FGCER is about global cultural relations also, so we thought who could we have better than you with us this evening? So thank you so very much for joining us today. Just to start with, Thaisa, we are very curious about your journey of Miss Latina International Brazil. So please share some experience with us so as to what was that moment which inspired you to participate and reach where you are today.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, please go
So
ahead.
Yes, we
first,
can hear you and we can see your screen also.
so first of all, thank you all for. Oh, you can see my screen. Hold on, stop share. Thank you all for having me, Jesse, Krisha, to everybody that just kind of popped in. I'm really excited to be here today and kind of share the different ways of how I've been able to not just be a part of the pageant and use that platform, but really give back. I was mentored a lot by different people in the community that kind of steered me into the different directions, and it wasn't anything that I ever was told to do. It was always something that I felt like I needed to do. I needed to reach out to, who are these successful people and how do I get to a meeting with them? Because at the end of the day, it's all about, you become the people that you surround yourself with. So if you're a positive person, you want to surround yourself with positivity, and vice versa. Negative people attract negativity. So it's always about being the best you can be and bringing light to any situation. But first of all is surrounding yourself in that positivity and around those mentors that can really guide you to becoming successful, not just to the world, but within yourself. So one of the biggest things that I really, really believe in is self-care. And that obviously comes from you. You have to focus on you. You have to focus on your goals and focus on, your community, because we're all here in this world together. And no matter what we do, we have to realize we're all living in the same space. So really understanding that you make a part of that space and you make a difference in the well-being of what's around you is important. So being in the pageant, that was kind of a platform that I was really blessed to be a part of, because that just put me in a position where I could now be, able to use the title to inspire others and remind them that we all go through struggles, but we can all get past those struggles. And you're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. You can reach out, you can ask for help, and you just have to put yourself in that position to focus on your goals, to take care of yourself so that you can grow. So that's been, the whole pageantry. And then up front, and the work behind it is a lot of volunteering. So through mentorship, you're guided through different ways of how do you become a part of your community, and then how do you lead that community to really grow and achieve the best that they can achieve together as a unit, not just as an individual. That's where I started my charity work. And then I realized a lot of these charity events, they throw parties, and there's because here in America, I know some parts of India, they're dry states, but here in America, about 90% of them, if it's not a religious event, it's a charity event where there's drinking and there's food and everybody's having a great time. Everybody's dressed really nice. So you have this concept of food, you have this concept of cocktails, and then you have this concept of fashion. And everybody kind of congregates and comes together, and they're willing to, really donate and give back for a better cause, but also have a good time. And that's kind of where my business fell into play. And I realized that if I'm here and I'm volunteering, I want to be able to do more and give more than just kind of, check people in at the door or, help organize the table. I want to, not just donate one check. I want to be able to do this so that these businesses, these organizations that are helping our community, it's not just a once, in a blue moon. It's a commitment to our community. So how do I grow something that can help and give back? And that was the starting point of my business, which is Infusion. We do catering and mobile bar. And the beauty of what I do is that I believe in doing parties with a purpose. My background and history with alcohol, on a personal level, there has been a lot of people around me that have had drinking issues. Luckily, I've been very blessed to not be a drinker, but to have all these negative people impact my life in such a way, it's geared me to realize that, there can be good out of alcohol. It doesn't have to be this negative thing. And what is the history of alcohol and where does it all come from? So when I started doing a lot of research on the medicinal holistic effects of alcohol and where really it sprouted from, I realized that, there can be good when we educate people, and, drinking can help your health, and it's all in moderation. And now how do we take the proceeds and profit of this industry that is recession proof and considered essential business in America? I don't know about the rest of the world, but how do we turn those funds and give it back? So that's kind of where I've been doing a lot of practice with figuring out, okay, well, if we do an event and these nonprofit organizations need to pull license and compliance for liquor just to serve it for one day, how can my business fill that need? And that's where I've been able to utilize Infusion with the food portion of it and the liquor portion of it together to benefit these nonprofits. So what we do is all the money that comes in from the alcohol, it really goes right back to the organization. So that's been, my biggest blessing is being able to be a part of these events, grow, learn, be mentored, and also now be able to have a platform where not only can I grow my business reputation in a positive light, but also grow these organizations to help them raise more funds than they ever even imagined, by saving them money and actually helping them make money with alcohol. So that's the back end of my personal business. And then being a part of these events, kind of being on the platform and not just on the back end operating the food and the bar, but also being able to be a speaker and educate, not just about, the food aspect, the liquor aspect, how we're giving back, but now also on a platform of we can all be here, not just the volunteers, because that's where I started, was as a volunteer, having no idea or direction. But because I reached out, because I was not, afraid of somebody saying no to me. And if I did get a no, I always said, well, how come? Maybe not now, but why not now? And what can I do to improve myself so that I can be on a platform or on a level where I can do more? And just being able to speak to others that might feel, not as comfortable of standing up and speaking out is just really a big passion for me, because then I know that I've hit a certain level with them where they feel like, okay, not only can you be on the stage with a microphone, but you're also now offering me your personal information where I can email you directly, and now you're scheduling a business meeting with me to help guide me so that I can achieve what you can achieve. And my biggest thing too is, if I can do this, you can do this probably way better. I'm not tech savvy. English is my second language. I did grow up in America, but it's still a second language to me. The thing about everybody is, we all have gifts. And the biggest thing is these gifts are not meant for us. They're actually meant for us to give to others. So each and every single one of us, we're unique, and we're unique in our own ways. And these gifts that we have, we can't hold on to it. And when we realize that you know, we all have these special gifts and they're meant for other people, and we feel comfortable enough to get to that level where we can share that, that's where you kind of start achieving your goals and you start moving forward in a more positive, better direction, not just for yourself, but also for your community. So that's how, you know, everything kind of ties together. And, you know, promoting, organizing events, and bringing not just the party, but also the culture that stands behind it. Because keep in mind, a lot of these events are more for a relaxed, entertaining atmosphere where people just kind of want to come together. They don't want to think about, you know, their job. They just want to connect, and they want to connect for a good cause. And that's where the cultural diversity for me was really important, because I was an immigrant, and I still am an immigrant, you know, and English was my second language, and I did struggle in school to make friends. I struggled to learn the language. I struggled with reading. I struggled with all these different factors that I know other people struggle with it as well. So having somebody that is new to the country, or maybe might not, you know, might be from America, but just not be in that educational level, really helping them achieve a greater purpose and educate on a level where, you know, maybe they might not be able to pick up a book and read, but something as simple as, you know, having a table set up with food, because everybody has to eat at the end of the day. So if we are at these events and we have a table that's set up with food, you know, having a variety of foods from different countries with just a little note card on the table, it makes a difference, because now we're promoting the culture, and this culture comes back to your stomach, you know. And at the end of the day, if we can share these experiences, these foods from around the world, then now we just, even though it's small, we just created another opportunity for people to learn about a different culture that maybe they have never experienced before. So with these events, it's, you know, a portion of the cultural integration is factored in, and the smallest details, from the little note cards on the table to the menu, to the cocktails, and to the presentation on stage, those are all, it all comes together as one. And for me, that's just really important. And it just is the whole purpose of humanity in the world, really. It's just all of us coming together in an atmosphere of peace, of understanding, of just, you know, giving back. And if we can some way, somehow incorporate that on the daily, you know, and let go of the stress and the struggle, and just realize we just have to surrender and just accept and just be positive through it, you know, that would be great. And that's where
But
I look at
you know,
youth.
Thaisa, are you doing it only in the US, or are you also looking to scale it up around the world? Because the concept sounds amazing, and I'm sure many people here would also be interested in getting associated with it. So are you doing it, you know, across the world, or is it only in the US for now?
So my business, are you speaking to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Infusion right now is actually only in the state of Florida. So I
Okay.
started in Florida just because it's obviously the world's #1 tourist attraction location. We have Disney here, we have beaches here, we just, you know, Florida's amazing. I moved here from Massachusetts. I grew up in Boston, where it's really
Yeah.
cold after moving from Brazil. So right now it's just in Florida, but the technique of what I do is definitely something that can be implemented anywhere. And this is where, you know, I can kind of lead into the next phase where I really promote youth growth and development. So throughout these events that are beneficial, you know, some of them do have alcohol. Obviously, children wouldn't be allowed in that, but how do we really incorporate the concept to kids? Well, kids love to have fun, and they love to throw parties and events and get together as adults do. So putting the concept of this cultural integration with, you know, food and the nutritional aspect of it and tying it all in, it leads me to the next topic, which is youth co-ops. Now, a youth co-op is something that I'm really passionate about as well, because there's so much variation with it. Youth co-ops are organizations of children that are young entrepreneurs that can start as early as 2nd grade. And they can come together, a team of 11 with one adult supervisor, 11 kids that are just passionate about doing something. Now, this something can be making an herb to heal bug bites. It can be something like a community garden where they sell the crops to raise funds. It can be fixing bicycles. It can be a dance class. It can really be anything. And I can show you a quick little presentation on it, because above all of these different things that I'm doing, that's my biggest push, is leading this generation to be the best that they can be, to really accept each other on a cultural level of, you know, not just of diversity, but of love, of appreciation, and of education, but also be able to focus. The last research that I did, I just discovered that the human attention span right now is less than a goldfish. I think it's about 7 seconds.
I guess.
Okay.
So
Go ahead. No, I was just
with
thinking,
that,
no, to interject that Karthik, I guess, is interested in taking the franchise, so that's why he was inquiring.
I'm sure many people here are really excited, and you know, are you able to share your screen for the youth co-op?
I'm trying to. See, I'm not tech savvy.
So there is a screen
There-
button at the bottom center, and I think you did
Yeah.
it at the start of the meeting. Share screen.
Yep, I see it. I'm sitting outside because it's just so nice.
Yes,
Fresh air is
you can
great.
see.
So bear with me. There it is. So
we
I'm
can
just going to
see.
do a quick overview. This is great. So this is basically a little bit about the Youth Co-op. It's a foundation that actually started from the Florida SEED program, which stands for Cooperative Empowered Economic Development. And basically it just defines what a cooperative is, and it's just, you know, everybody coming together for a common goal, where it can be for adults or for children. And then specific youth co-ops, there's been a proven module in Puerto Rico where we did some research. There's actually 238 youth co-ops in Puerto Rico as we speak, and they're all majority integrated in schools, where these kids have successfully, from second grade and beyond, demonstrated their ability to run a business. And it's just phenomenal when you see the results of what these kids are doing. So if kids can do this, anybody can do this. But a lot of their co-ops, cultural. So here's just where I'm gonna scroll through this a little bit quick. I know we have like 5 minutes left. But youth co-op, this is a bike co-op. These kids right here, they're in high school. They all came together because there's a need for bicycles to be fixed, limited transport in Puerto Rico, especially with all the hurricane devastations. You know, they really needed to take all these bike parts and put them back together to have more ability for transport. So these kids kind of came up with this concept. They congregated at the school and they fix bikes, and the money that they get, they are able to put into a savings account where they're going to pay each other, but once they graduate school,
Wow.
or once they're done with their school. And that money helps them with their education, but all the payment is set up by the kids themselves. Now this is, it's called a Yerba Buena. Sorry, I don't really speak Spanish, but what it is, yeah, bud. But what it is an herb for mosquito bites. These kids right here are second and third graders that came together, and from start to finish, they grow the product, they cultivate it, they pick the packaging, they create the packaging, they bottle it up, and then they go into the market, they sell it. Sorry, guys.
And Thaisa, where
Where did it
can
go?
our
There it is.
viewers read more about it? Is there a website for this?
I can send you, yep, I can post that up, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because it's a proven module and it's being done in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's all student led, or it's all led by the youth. They just need an adult supervisor to be there to kind of help guide, but they do their thing, and they just, are able to make money. And they decide how they keep that money, if they want to pay themselves now, if they want to pay half now and half later, or if they want to save it all for later. Here's another example of the youth dance class where they actually dance and perform. So all of these, there we go. This right here organization, they put together an after school activity center. Kids pay 25 cents to $1 to come and hang out and play. And it's just a room that kids can congregate in. But the process, there has to be a need, there has to be a genuine interest, and there's got to be an economic potential. An adult, 11 members, and it's got to be educational. And the setting, these kids can do this anywhere: a community center, a school, a library, whatever is accessible. They just go there, they talk, and they speak about what they want to do. And a lot of these locations have no problem helping the community, especially youth program. So the structure is pretty simple. And, it just, why do we need this? Well, at the end of the day, despite all of these different factors, we need to teach our youth we need to equip our youth and teach them how to be prepared for, what's to come in the future. And I think what this pandemic really does is it demonstrates to us how important it is to be sustainable, and self-sustainability is just a big factor into it. Not just do we need to be self-sustainable for us, but also for our community, and really come together as one.
Wow,
Well,
that's
you wear
great.
so many hats, Thaisa. I have to say, hats off to you. I mean, you do so many things which, an ordinary person would not think of it. And coming to the alcohol, well, in India, it is not an essential commodity, but yes, government, earns tons of revenue out of manufacturing and sale of alcohol. So yes,
75% alcohol is essential commodity, which goes in the sanitizer.
but still, alcohol is
Yep.
still not in itself is an essential commodity.
Right. So we're
Yeah.
going to take up a couple of questions in the interest of time, Thaisa, if that's okay with you. So we have one question
Absolutely.
from Neha Kalia. Neha, are you there? I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Hi,
I'm
Neha.
here, Karthik. Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for being here today.
And you're an
Neha,
inspiration.
sorry, you muted yourself. Can you repeat your question?
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's really nice to meet you. And you are a true inspiration and motivation for a lot of us. But okay, there's this very important question that I would want to know, which is obviously not related to jobs or all these things about future and all that. But then this is a little personal, related to your pageant winning. So knowing that you're a pageant winner, and I have been counseling a lot of girls who have so much, ability and capability to do a lot of things in their life and to make themselves independent, but there is this problem of definition of beauty. Now there is this very strict definition of beauty that girls, especially teenagers, because I am into theater also, and we do these things in theater, theater practices. So it becomes really difficult to explain these girls that beauty does not have a definition, and you have so much. It doesn't matter if you're short, black, fat, or whatever. You need to first believe in yourself. But then tell me something. You're a pageant winner. For you also, beauty has a definition.
So I agree with you. I don't think that beauty can be defined. I think it's one of those things that are limitless. Everybody's unique, and they all have these great assets and these great abilities and these great things, and it all really comes from within. So as far as girls and dealing with beauty, I completely can relate as well. I do work with a lot of communities for girls especially, and that's honestly 90% of the youth that I do mentor and teach about youth co-ops is girls, and they're struggling with confidence, they're struggling with social media. And that's another important thing of these co-ops is it really takes kids outside of that world that's virtual, and it kind of brings them back to center. It brings them back to culture. It brings them back to realizing that, you know, we all have these great skills and abilities, and if we can just look past this perception that is so fake and it's not real, you know, and just be happy and accept what we have to give. That's the most important thing, is not just looking and comparing ourselves to others and, you know, being worried about beauty and how we look, but more about the change that we can give. So it's just, you know, structuring their thought process of what's priority. You know, is it most important to get up every day and, you know, wear all these fashionable clothes and brands and put on makeup? Or is it more important every day to, you know, take care of yourself, have a healthy diet, check on your family, make sure they're okay, you know, be an asset to them, see how you can help them, and focus on your studies. So I agree with you. It's a challenge that we're facing all over the world. And social media is not, you know, it doesn't help. You know, kids are competing for likes, adults are competing and buying likes. And I myself, you know, you can check my social media. What I tell the girls too is I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Twitter. I don't tweet. You know what I have? I have a life. And that's important. And it's the impact that I make. I don't have to show and I don't have to share. I just have to shine in my own space and focus on what I can give, and how I can make a difference.
But
And,
have
you know, once you kind of
you
come to their level and help them understand that, have I
no, no,
what?
have you ever heard statements like these? It's easy for you to say you're a pageant winner.
I have, yes. So, you know, yes, it's easy to say, but it's also hard to live through. And firsthand, I've lived through these insecurities myself. And, you know, being in pageants, it's really a test of your inner strength. I mean, it's not easy to stand in front of people and speak, and to, you know, stand in front of people and speak, but also have a backup to what you're saying. You know, you kind of have to put yourself in a position where you're uncomfortable. And that's where a lot of people don't realize that, you know, you have to push yourself to the limit beyond your comfort zone so that you can grow. And some people think it's just very simple and, oh, you get your hair and makeup done and you just stand there. And that's where I'm kind of trying to redefine, you know, what is pageantry and how do you really achieve and take this, how does society, you know, view pageantry? And is it good, is it negative, and whatever it is how do you use this as a tool for growth, for development, and for empowering other people around you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Neha. Thanks so much. I think Anna Poroska also had some perspectives to share. Anna, you there?
Well, yes, I'm here. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of the valuable information. And I believe that we're coming into this phase where we'll be looking at all of these aspects more. And actually, I also see it in my business. We are working towards having the real estate turning into a very healthy lifestyle. We're having all the gym facilities, spas, everything implemented, and people have the desire to be natural, to live surrounded to the nature. Like the trends are changing, and I just wanted to ask you, how do you see the future? Do you see it evolving more? Do you see any more potential? What could we implement more into our industry, meaning real estate? Do you have an opinion about that?
I actually have a lot of friends that are in the business of real estate, and it's a great business to be in. It's a great career, because you have to juggle so much. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing is how do you make these people feel at home? And home is like your sanctuary. You know, it's a place where you come and it's just where you can just be at peace. And how do you sell that to somebody? So it's a challenging job for sure. And all the things that you said are very relevant. here in America, you know, the healthy lifestyle, the convenience of that style as well. I think the biggest thing for me too is, you know, alternative living. I don't know if you've ever heard of alternative building materials, but they have these things called earth ships that started in Taos, New Mexico. They actually built one here in Florida, and I was very blessed to be a part of the building process. And again, because I do these events with alcohol, I always was left over with all these bottles. And because I do events with the food, I always was left over with these massive industrial sized cans. So what do I do with these? I don't want to throw them away. How do I turn this into something better? So that's where my research started about, you know, alternate building materials and what can we use these for. And that's how I discovered these things called earth ships. So basically it's homes and structures made that are hurricane proof, which are amazing. They're sustainable, and they're built with bottles, tires, cans, and it's just packed dirt. So that's when it comes to real estate for me, that's where, you know, I look to my friends of guidance and advice of, you know, how can we turn not just the gym concept and the convenience concept into how can we promote that, but also promote, you know, a sustainable living option where it's not just solar power, but it's really just being, you know, in a place where no matter what happens, or hurricane, or, you know, global pandemic, you're okay and you're safe in your own home. So, I mean, real estate is just so complex. There's so many different variations to it, from commercial to residential. What sector are you in?
I think Anna deals mostly with the residential space, from what I
Or
have gathered.
residential?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Anna,
thank
are
you
you
so
still
much.
there?
Anna, are you there? I don't know. I think maybe her connectivity
Anna,
is
you're
weak.
muted.
Yeah. Let me try and unmute. But anyways,
Sorry,
She
you
said
can.
sorry.
sorry,
Anna,
I'm
you
here.
there?
I couldn't unmute myself. Thank you, Kartik.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm mostly in residential. That's my focus. Thank you for sharing all the valuable insight. Yeah, I think we should cooperate more together. Maybe we can think of some alternatives and implement some of your ideas. So definitely after the webinar, we should talk about this.
Yeah,
Great.
definitely.
Thanks, Anna. So
Thank
with
you.
this, we are
Anyone else
almost
have
out of
any other
time
questions?
now. Some of them have sent me
okay.
private messages. I'll share with you, but we are really out of time now. Thank you so much, Thaissa, for taking out time. And I know in the circumstances you are in, I really appreciate you, you know, coming and spending this evening with us, or your morning. I mean, for me, the biggest takeaway has been in this session that, you know, a single individual has the purity of heart and the best of the intentions. They can literally, you know, transform the community around them and can do a lot more. Sometimes we feel, you know, overwhelmed that it's very difficult as an individual. What can I do? How can I make a difference? But, you know, people like you actually make us believe that it's possible. It's not a utopian world where, you know, it's impossible to do those things. You have actually done it in many ways, you know, at a young age. So it's all very inspirational to hear. And I'm sure many of us would go back and try to implement some of those things in our own communities, and maybe potentially reach out to you to collaborate and partner, and maybe, you know, take some of those ideas and implement in our respective communities in some synergetic manner. So with this, thank you so much once again, Thaissa dos Santos.
No, thank you for having me. It's been amazing, and I really appreciate everybody that's on today. And just to kind of wrap it up, one of the biggest things to promote the self-care, self-awareness, and just being a part of a better community is time management. There's a lot of things that we all can do if we just structure our time. So I have a schedule that I use. It's just basically been my survival guide to what's least important. And if that can help anybody, you know, I'll be happy to share. I'll also share the link for the Florida Seed Program and my direct contact, so anybody can email me. And also, you know, message me on Facebook as well. So whatever's easier and convenient.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you, Thaisa. And we'll pass on those information to our participants. All of them are registered, so we'll share it with them. Thank you once again, Sushma, my co-host, for being there, and thank you everyone in the audience for spending this webinar with us. Stay safe, stay at home, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next session. Thanks again, Thaisa. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Yes, Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.